Dear class 9 students, welcome to today's English class. I hope you all enjoyed Onam holidays. In today's English class, we are going to see a new lesson from our main textbook Beehive. The name of the lesson, My Childhood. Class 9 is by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, an extract from Wings of Fire. Abdul Kalam's biography is titled Wings of Fire, and the chapter My Childhood talks about the childhood of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. He was the President of India and a great scientist too. A.P.J. talks about his upbringing, his parents and siblings. He tells about his friends and all those things that influenced his childhood. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Erstwhile means former. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was born into a middle-class Tamil family, and his place of birth, Rameshwaram, is an island, a town in the state of Tamil Nadu, which is in the Bay of Bengal. Today we know the state as Tamil Nadu, but when he was born, at that time, the state was known as Madras state. My father, Jainul had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. Innate means inborn, a quality or feeling in one's nature by birth. Generosity of spirit. His soul sought to help others who were needy. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's father's name was Jainul Abidin. A.P.J. says that his father was not very rich. He did not have wealth. He was not highly educated, but despite these disadvantages, he had some other qualities. He was naturally very wise and was generous too, ready to give, share with others. He had an ideal helpmate, my mother, Ashiyamma. A.P.J.'s mother's name was Ashiyamma. She used to help his father, her husband. She was a great support and help to him. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our family put together. A.P.J.'s mother was also generous and kind-hearted like father. Every day she used to feed a lot of people. She fed a greater number of people from outside than the total number of the members in their family. I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. Undistinguished means ordinary or common, nothing special about. Abdul Kalam had many siblings, and he describes himself that he had short height and small looks and common looks and did not have any exceptional looks. On the contrary, his parents were very tall and handsome. They were good looking. A.P.J. did not inherit their physical qualities. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large Pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Moss Street in Rameshwaram. Pakka house means a house made of bricks, cement and limestone. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's ancestral house was very old. It was built in the 19th century. It was a Pakka house which was made of bricks and limestone. It is located on the Moss Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. Austere means simple, strict, and severe. Secure, safe. Materially means in terms of things like clothes, food, medicine, etc. Emotionally means in terms of love, affection, care, security. A.P.J's father was very simple, but he was strict also, like our fathers. He wanted to live his life in a simple way, and he used to teach his children not to waste money on unnecessary things. A.P.J says that his father used to avoid any kind of inessential comfort and luxuries. He provided them all the necessary things like food, clothes, and medicines, such things. A.P.J says that his parents fulfill all his needs, all their needs, whether it was any tangible thing or their love and affection. This shows that he has the quality of gratitude towards his parents. A.P.J is thankful to his parents for whatever they did for him. The Second World War broke in 1939 when I was 8 years old. A.P.J was 8 years old when the Second World War was broke in the year 1939. So we can calculate that he was born in the year 1931, 8 years before, no? Yes. For reasons, I have never been able to understand a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. Tamarind seed, a kind of fruit you are familiar with. Princely sum, generous amount. Here ironic. For a small boy, 1 anna means such a huge amount on those days. Anna, an old Indian coin, worth about 6 paisa. Now you understood. The demand for tamarind seeds increased in the market. The reasons are not known to A.P.J, but he remembered just after the outbreak of Second World War. A.P.J used to collect and sell the tamarind seeds to provision shop located on Mosque Street. He would earn a mere sum of 1 anna, which equals 6 paisa. When he addresses it as a princely sum, something very great and valuable, he is being ironic as the amount was very meagre, which very little. At that time, this 1 anna meant a lot of money to him, especially for a small boy of 8-year-old. My brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines of Dinamani. Dinamani, a Tamil daily newspaper. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's brother-in-law Jalaluddin used to tell him the stories of the ongoing World War. Later, A.P.J. used to read the newspaper, Dinamani, and used to look for the news of the same stories. So, in his childhood days, the main news he used to read in the newspaper was that about the Second World War. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces. Something like a state of emergency was declared. Isolated, lonely, or cut off, Allied forces, we knew the armies of UK, United Kingdom, and USA and Russia during the Second World War. They formed the Allied forces. Rameshwaram was a small island town far away from the mainland. So it was not affected by the World War in the beginning. But after some time, India had to join the war and campaigned with allied forces because India was under the British rule in those days. Then a state of emergency was declared in the country. During emergency, the president's rule is implemented in the country. It is like a curfew in the country. A lot of privileges which are given to the people are withdrawn. So a lot of restrictions. Now you are familiar with these containments on free movement is restricted during the pandemic situation right now we are facing. Same thing was how happened in those days. The first casualty came in the form of a suspension of the train halt at a Rameswaram station. The newspapers had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameswaram road between Rameswaram and Dhanushkodi. Casualty loss, the first thing that happened there, and then suspension end, stopped something, halt here, stop. The first impact of World War II on the people of Rameswaram was the cancellation of the train stoppage at the Rameswaram station. Train would no more stop at the Rameswaram station, just passing. Earlier, the train which came from India used to stop at the Rameswaram station and then went further to Dhanushkodi. But now, the halt was cancelled and the train went from India to Dhanushkodi without stopping at Rameswaram. With this, the newspaper bundle which used to come for Rameswaram was thrown out of the moving train as it reached Rameswaram road. So somebody should be there to catch the thrown away newspapers. That forced my cousin Shamsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameswaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, I filled the slot. Shamsuddin helped me earn my first wages. Again, he's getting money now there. Filled the slot, filled the place easily. The first choice was given when Shamsuddin was in a need to get someone to help to collect the paper. Obviously, it was A.P.J. who was the true candidate there. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's cousin Shamsuddin used to distribute newspapers in the Rameswaram. As the train stoppage was cancelled and the newspaper bundle was thrown out of the moving train, he needed someone to help him catch it. A.P.J. helped Shamsuddin by catching the bundle and distributing the newspapers. So in return, Shamsuddin paid him a salary, which was A.P.J.'s first earning, as in the form of salary. Earlier we had seen he was getting 1 anna by collecting tamarind seeds. Now again he is getting money. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. Still he remember the pride. Pride is sudden increase in the feeling of satisfaction derived from one's own achievements. Half a century later means even after a period of 50 years. This incident happened 50 years ago. Even now, that is when he wrote the book Wings of Fire, he could feel satisfied and proud of himself. A.P.J. says that whenever someone earns his own money with his hard work, he feels in the same way as he did. We knew that he was a missile man of India. He became the president of India. But still, even though he felt the pride with him, even after 50 years, after achieving all these posts, what? The pride he had when we made his own wage earnings. Every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my 3 brothers and sister. I would say the most important paragraph in this passage or the entire life of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, and the entire life of anyone is this one, I would say. Because we will see the paragraph in detail once again. Figures of authority, a person who had authority over another person, a person who has the power to give orders to make decisions. Inherited means a characteristic or quality which you have got from your parents or ancestors. Socioeconomic means in terms of money, the social status. For a child, the figure of authority in his parents, and the next figure of authority can be his teacher, a person who has authority over the child. A.P.J is saying that whenever a child is born, he has some qualities which he acquires from the elders in his family. The first school or first learning place, the first teachers are our parents. These depend upon the social status of the family and the environment at home. From his father, he inherited honesty and self-discipline, and from his mother, he inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, love, gratitude, affection. His siblings also inherited these qualities from their parents. So, my friends, it is from our father we have to acquire the qualities truthfulness, self-discipline, honesty, hard working, and such qualities. And from our mother, we must acquire the qualities like goodness, kindness, love, affection, gratitude. So, our parents are our role models. We must make them proud with these qualities. I had 3 close friends in my childhood: Ramananda Shastri, Aravindan, and Shiva Prakash. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Orthodox means strict. A.P.J had best friends during his childhood, 3 best friends during his childhood. The names are Ramananda Shastri, Aravindan, and Shiva Prakash. All of them belonged to very strict Hindu Brahmin families and were ardent followers of their religion. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramananda Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameshwaram temple from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. And A.P.J became the missile man of India and the president of India. That also a plus we have to remember here. As A.P.J was from Muslim family, he says that during his childhood, all the children were so close to each other that they never felt they belonged to different religions or caste or anything. Religion was not a barrier in their friendship. This is a very famous temple in Rameshwaram, the Rameshwaram temple. A.P.J's best friend Ramananda Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshman Shastri, the priest of the temple. When these 3 friends grew up, Ramananda Shastri took the priesthood of Rameshwaram temple. Aravindan started a business of transporting the pilgrims, and from Rameshwaram temple, and Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railway. He was in charge of catering for the railways. So religion is a very personal thing which has to be practiced in one's personal life. That's what the message we have to get from this passage. Yes, it's very the type of food you like, type of dress you use. The same way you believe in certain religion of your choice or which you happen to be, which has nothing to do with somebody else's religion. During the annual Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site situated in the middle of the pond called Rama Tirtha, which was near our house. Rama Kalyanam ceremony is known as Kalyanolsava. It means marriage festival. In South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, marriage is known as Kalyanam. In Kerala also it is Kalyanam. So Lord Rama and Sita's marriage is called Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony. It is the ceremony of the depiction of marriage between Sita and Rama, commemorating their marriage. Whenever Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony used to take place, it is A.P.J's family also took part in it. What they would do? They used to arrange boards for it. They used to make a special platform on the boards on which the statue of Rama and Sita were placed and transported. A.P.J's family also took part in it. They used to arrange the boards for it. They used to make a special platform on the boards on which statue of Rama and Sita were placed and transported from the temple to the marriage site, which was in the middle of a pond named Ramatirtha. This pond was near A.P.J's house. When he was growing up, he never thought that there was any difference between Hindus and Muslims as they participated in the Hindu festival wholeheartedly. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. A.P.J says that they listen to the stories from the Ramayana and the life of Prophet from their mother and grandmother as bedtime stories. So they listen to the stories, both Hindu gods and Muslim gods, in the same way. There was no differentiation on the grounds of religion. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramananda Shastri, who wore the sacred thread. As A.P.J. Abdul Kalam belonged to a Muslim family, he used to wear a cap on his head. We knew that there would be a cap which is used by Muslim brothers, which identify him as a Muslim. His friend Ramananda Shastri, whereas he is a Brahmin, who was the son of a priest of Rameshwaram temple, belonged to a Hindu Brahmin family and used to wear a sacred thread worn by Brahmins across their chest. When these children were in the class 5th standard, a new teacher came to their class. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam recalls an incident which happened then. What it is? The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son on sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramananda Shastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. Could not stomach mean could not tolerate, could not accept, downcast, sad or depressed. This new teacher could not tolerate or accept that a Hindu priest's son was sitting next to a Muslim boy. Even then also there were people who were kind of too much concerned about the religion of human beings. He told A.P.J. to go and sit on the last bench, and he belonged to a lower rank of the society, they considered so. Both the children felt very sad, obviously. When A.P.J. changed his seat and went back and sat on the last bench, Ramananda felt very sad. A.P.J. still remembers the image of his friend Ramananda crying. It left a lifelong impression on Kalam, on his friend's feelings for him. Yes, religion was nothing, only the bondage between two friends, that was there. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher. He's a high priest temple there, no? And in our presence, told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. You see this. Summoned means called, bluntly, speaking in a direct, honest way, and even if this offends or upsets people. Apologize, seek pardon, say sorry. Quit to leave. Conviction, a strong opinion or belief. Convey, communicated. Both children went home and told. Definitely, if it happens nowadays also, you will go to home and you tell your parents. There also they did the same thing, told their parents about the incident. And Ramananda's father, the Lakshmana Shastri, called the new teacher and scolded him. He is the high priest at the main temple in Rameshwaram. So if he calls, the others would come there. He told him not to kill the children's friendship by putting the venomous discrimination of caste and religious intolerance into their innocent minds. Lakshmana Shastri was very clear in himself. He told the teacher, either you ask sorry for the wrong you have done or else leave the school and Rameshwaram town also. The teacher asked sorry for the mistake he had done, and due to the Lakshmana Shastri's determination, his thoughts about religion and caste changed. Religion is supposed to be a thing that should make human beings a better human beings. If a religion could not make a human being a better one, that is no more a religion. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher Shiva Subramania Iyer, though an Orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on a par with the highly educated people on the big cities. Here we see a wonderful teacher who actually ignited the mind of A.P.J, his science teacher, Shiva Subramania Iyer. Rigid means strict, segregation, separation. Orthodox, one who follows the religion strictly. Conservative, traditional. Rebel means in opposition. Mingle, interact with each other on par at the same level. The division of society into four groups, Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, was strictly followed in Rameshwaram in those days. Abdul Kalam, science teacher, Shiva Subramania Iyer was a religious person and Orthodox Brahmin, but was a rebellious type of person, one who is against all these things. He did not believe in distinction on the basis of caste system. He worked very hard to break these social barriers. He wanted that people of different caste should interact with each other. He encouraged A.P.J. Abdul Kalam to work, study hard so that he could be at the same level as the highly educated people who lived in big cities. This Rameshwaram is a remote village in Tamil Nadu. One day, this teacher invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Shiva Subramania Iyer was not perturbed, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served me with his own hands and sat down beside me to eat his meal. His wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water or cleaned the floor after the meal. Ritually pure means kept protected from all outside influences for the observance of religion. No one who belongs to other religions are not supposed to enter these areas. That's it. Perturbed means upset. Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife belonged to a very strict traditional and orthodox Brahmin family. She followed the religion very, very strictly and to keep the kitchen pure. no one from the inferior or other religion was not allowed to enter the kitchen. Uh, no one from any other religion was allowed to enter the kitchen. When Shiva Subramania Iyer called A.P.J. Abdul Kalam for dinner at his home, his wife feared that a boy from a Muslim family would make her kitchen impure. Natural. She refused to serve him food in her kitchen. Shiva Subramania Iyer was neither upset nor angry. He himself served the food to A.P.J. and sat down beside him to eat. His wife stood beside the kitchen door and looked at A.P.J. while he was having food. A.P.J. says that he doesn't think that she felt there was any difference in the way he was having his food or the way he was drinking water or in the way he cleaned the floor after the meal. He wants to highlight that religion does not matter as it does not alter the way in which a person eats food. When I was leaving his house, Shiva Subramania Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Observing my hesitation, he told me not to get upset, saying, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted. Hesitation, doubt or delay, confronted, faced or tackled. When A.P.J. was about to leave Shiva Subramania Iyer's house, the teacher invited him to dinner once again. When Shiva Subramania Iyer saw that A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was hesitant, not ready, he asked him not to be upset. He added that if he had decided to change the system, to go against the norms of the society, he had to be strong and brave and confront the situation. That's it. If there are certain situations which are not advisable, which are not necessary for the society, we should take some effort. We must be courageous enough to face certain barriers and obstacles to overcome it. When I visited his house the next week, Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. That's quite wonderful, no? When he visited the science teacher's home for the dinner the next week, his wife made him sit in the kitchen and served him food with her own hands. This is the change that happened. That was they were expecting also. The Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Imminent means about to happen, nearby. Unprecedented, never done or known before. Optimism, hope or cheer. When the Second World War got over in the year 1945, India was about to get freedom, which happened in the year 1947. We know it. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, known as the father of the nation, was a crucial part of India's freedom struggle. We all knew it. He said that Indians would build their own India. The entire country was filled with hope and happiness. Everyone was experiencing such a feeling which they had never felt before. Everyone was hoping that now they would get their freedom. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameswaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. He told me as if thinking aloud, Abdul, I know you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun, alone and without a nest? These are lines from Khalil Gibran. How great that father was. If I say, I would say, it's only my personal remark, this Zainul Abidin was such a great man, compared even when we compare him with A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. That father was such a great father, but he had such a great son. A.P.J. asked his father to allow him go to Ramanathapuram, seeking permission from father for what? Which was a district headquarters for higher studies. Seagull is a bird. In reply, his father told him that he knew it's a saddening thing that one son is going away from family for studies, but it's a way that Jainul Abidin see the situation, he knew that A.P.J needed to go away so that he could move ahead in life, grow. He gave an example of seagull which flies away in the sky all alone and does not have a nest. It means it does not have a home of its own as it keeps on flying from one place to another. He quoted Galil Gibran to my hesitant mother. Your children are not your children. They are the sons of daughters of lives longing for itself. They come through you but not from you. You may give them your love but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. This may not digest or stomach our parents for the time being, so don't apply to them. But longing, desire, for they have their own thoughts, excerpt from Your Children, poem by Khalil Gibran. When A.P.J's mother came to know that he was about to leave home and wanted to go to Ramanathapuram for higher studies, she got upset. All mothers are like that when they came to know about that their beloved children are going for higher studies far away from the home. A.P.J's father tried to calm her, console her down, and told her a few lines from the famous poem titled Your Children, written by Khalil Gibran. He said that your children are not your children. They are the children of life. Children have their own life. Don't think that you can rule your children. They are a result of life's desire for itself. They have their own thoughts, their freedom. He asked her to give them freedom to fulfill their thoughts. For the time being, you should not go and tell these lines to your parents. So, my childhood is an extract taken from the biography of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's Wings of Fire. He was a great scientist and also the President of India. He was born in the middle class Muslim family in the year 1931 in the island town of Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. In his childhood, he was greatly influenced by his parents, his teachers, and his friends. His father, Jainul Abidin, was not highly educated, but he was a generous and kind person. He was not rich, but provided a secure childhood to Abdul and his siblings. Abdul inherited honesty and self-discipline from his father and faith in goodness and deep kindness from his mother. Kalam earned his first wages by working as a helping hand to his cousin Shamsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram. In his childhood, he had three close friends, Ramananda Shastri, Aravindan, and Shiva Prakash. Once he was in the 5th standard, a new teacher asked him not to sit in front row along with the high caste Brahmin boys. Abdul found Ramananda Shastri weeping as he went to the last row. This made a lasting impression on Abdul, his love of human beings, irrespective of religion. Abdul was also greatly influenced by his science teacher, Shiva Subramanian Iyer. He learned the lesson of breaking social barriers from him. Iyer invited him to his farm for a meal. His wife refused to serve food for a Muslim boy in her pure kitchen at first time. Iyer served him with his own hands and sat down beside him to eat his meal. He convinced his wife to serve meal with her own hands and thus was successful in changing her conservative attitude. For higher education, Abdul Kalam sought permission from his father to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramanathapuram. His father said that Abdul had to go a long way in life, just like a seagull bird which flies long distances. He calmed down A.P.J's reluctant mother by quoting Khalil Gibran's poem Your Children. He said that her children could not be dominated by her because they had their own thoughts. They did not belong to her but were a result of life's desire for itself. He asked her to give them the freedom to fulfill their thoughts. Dear students, now we will see the question answers in the unit. Where was Abdul Kalam's house? Abdul Kalam's house was located on the Mosque Street in the town of Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu state. What do you think Dinamani is the name of? Give reasons for your answer. Dinamani is the name of a newspaper. It is a vernacular daily printed in Tamil language. Kalam says that he traced the stories of the war in the headlines of Dinamani. Who were Abdul Kalam's school friends? What did they later become? During his childhood, Abdul Kalam had three friends. Their names are Ramananda Shastri, Aravindan and Shiva Prakash. When they grew up, Ramananda Shastri became the priest of the Rameshwaram temple, and Aravindan started a business of transporting pilgrims to and fro from the Rameshwaram temple, and Shiva Prakashan became a caterer for the Indian Railways. How did Abdul Kalam earn his first wages? Abdul Kalam earned his first wages by catching the bundle of newspapers thrown out of the moving train at the Rameshwaram station. He helped his cousin in distributing the newspaper in Rameshwaram. Had he earned any money before that? In what way? When the Second World War started, there was great demand for tamarind seeds. Kalam would collect them and sell them to a grocery store located on Mosque Street. He would earn an anna, which was a meagre sum, but for him, it was a handsome sum of money. How does the author describe his father, his mother, and himself? Kalam's father's name was Jainul Abdi. He was not educated and was not a wealthy man. Kalam says that despite this, his father possessed innate wisdom, honesty, and was a generous man. He did not believe in wasting money on luxurious, but provided them with all the necessities of life like food, clothing, and medicine. Kalam's mother's name was Ashiyamma. She supported her husband in his decisions. She was a kind-hearted woman. Kalam recollects that his mother would feed meals to numerous people. He inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness from her. Kalam was a short and had ordinary looks, while his parents were tall and looked handsome. He was brought up in a secure atmosphere. He grew up to become an honest and self-disciplined man. He believed in goodness and deep kindness. What characteristics does he say he inherited from his parents? Kalam inherited honesty and self-discipline from his father. His mother imbibed in him faith in goodness and deep kindness. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of segregation of different social groups, says the author. Which social groups does he mention? Were these groups easily identifiable? For example, by the way they dressed. The social groups mentioned by Kalam were the Hindu Brahmins and the Muslims. Yes, these groups were easily identifiable by the way they dressed. As Kalam was a Muslim, he wore a cap which distinguished him from his Hindu Brahmin friends who wore the sacred thread. Were they were aware only of their differences, or did they also naturally share friendship and experiences? Think of bedtime stories in Kalam's house, of who his friends were and of what used to take place in the pond near his house. No, they were not aware of any differences. Kalam and the other children listened to bedtime stories from their mother and grandmother. These were from both the Ramayana and from the life of Prophet. The family participated in the Hindu festival of Sri Sita Rama Kalyana by arranging boats for transporting the idols from the temple to the pond located near their house. The author speaks both of people who were very aware of the differences among them and those who tried to bridge these differences. Can you identify such people in the text? The people who were aware of these differences were the young teacher who came to teach Kalam's class in the 5th standard. He ordered Kalam to sit on the last bench as he belonged to the lower caste. His science teacher Shiva Subramania Iyer's wife was an Orthodox Hindu Brahmin. She refused to serve him food as she felt that his presence would render the kitchen impure. The people who bridged these differences were Ramananda Shastri's father Lakshmana Shastri and Shiva Subramania Iyer. Lakshmana Shastri was the priest of the Rameswaram temple. He scolded the young teacher and asked him to apologize for sowing the seeds of religious discrimination into the innocent minds of the children. Upon his wife's refusal to serve, Shiva Subramania Iyer served food to Kalam and sat beside him to eat, which reformed his wife. Why did Abdul Kalam want to leave Rameswaram? Abdul Kalam wanted to leave Rameswaram and go to Ramanathapuram for higher studies. What did his father say to this? His father said that he knew Kalam had to leave home as he had to fulfill his dreams. He gave the example of seagull bird, which flies endlessly over long distances and does not have a nest too. He pacified Kalam's mother by quoting a few lines from the poem Your Children by Khalil Gibran. He said that her children were not her possession, but were life's desire for itself. She should not impose her thoughts on them, but should allow them to fulfill their thoughts. What do you think his words mean? Why do you think he spoke those words? Abdul Kalam's father's words had a deep meaning. He inspired Kalam to follow his dreams, to fly high like a seagull. He wanted him to pursue higher studies and so allowed him to go to Ramanathapuram. He explained to Kalam's mother to allow him to go and pursue higher education. He spoke these words to encourage Abdul Kalam and to control the emotional attachment of his mother. Dear students, today's English class has come to an end. I hope you all got inspired with a small extract from Wings of Fire by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. Read the passage. If possible, get that book. I hope many of you might have read the entire book. Still, you have a chance to get that book, read. Until we meet in the next English class. Thank you. Take care.